So I'm back off vacation and I have a lot of new fabric. So I thought I'd just go through what I have here. Most important thing though is that I have the very first copy of Paint by Number Quilts, which is my book. And by the way, if you can hear weird booming noises in the background, it's because Hank's playing up above my head. But this is my book from Stash Books, which is a C&T imprint. It's kind of a book. I call it a bookette normally. It was originally 10 projects. There's a whole lot of information on my blog about that whole story. But now it's this little pouch. It's usually in the same place as books in quilt shops. And then inside the pouch you get full-size patterns, which was very important to me, so you don't have to get them blown up at the copy shop. And then this has been a bit dog-eared now because I've been showing it to quite a few people, but it comes with it's like a magazine kind of book. And inside you get the information on how to put the quilts together, like tools and materials, choosing fabrics, and then the actual applique process, and there's some alternative applique processes as well, in case you don't like my favourite one. And then it's got 4 projects, so there's the raccoon mug rug, and then with all of these they have a colour key that bleeds off the edge of the page so that you can put your fabric behind it and see if it matches. So then you know what fabrics you're going to use. There's also the grizzly bear wall hanging, which isn't here because it's currently going to, I think it's going to Fall Quilt Market next, and it goes to various places around the US. Again, your key bleeds off the edge, and the larger projects tend to have more colours. It's got Mr. Fox, and the last project is the white-tailed stag, and he was part of a triptych, so you can actually find extra patterns on my website, PennyDog.com, and you'll be able to get the fawn and also the doe to go with these, which are a different sort of seasonal background. So this is a winter one, I've got a springtime fawn and a summertime doe. And then after that it gives you some ideas about how to quilt the quilts. So that is the package. The MSRP is $19.99 in the US and $24.99 in Canada, and that's in the respective currencies there. You can get digital copies, which are a bit cheaper. Digital copies are currently available on C&T and also Amazon, and also you can get the hard copies from C&T now, and the hard copies in other places are due to arrive probably next week. My delivery to me is showing as 2nd of October, so that's Tuesday, and that's also the date that's showing on the Amazon website, so I assume that that's pretty accurate. But back onto fabric. Just before I went away, I went into my sewing room, which is also where I was talking about my book last week, and I picked up Sarah Watts's Front Yard in the toadstools in red, and I got a whole metre of that, as it will probably be a bag fabric. If I sound a bit weird, by the way, of course I've got a bit of a cold, so it's making my voice sound a bit wobbly today. When I was at the Creative Stitches show, it's got a different name now, it's called something like Creative Festival. It was the Calgary one, they have an Edmonton one as well. On last Saturday I picked up some other fabrics. I can't remember the name of the retailer unfortunately, but I know they were in Sesholt, BC, so I could probably look it up if I'm honest with you. But I got some Sasquatches. It's a lot of black and white contrast. It's really not something I would normally buy because I struggle with using those sorts of prints, but I'd never seen it before, so I thought I'd better snap that up while I can. I got some dark green Parson Grey fabric, which is not very exciting to most people, but it's going to come in really useful for my next project, which I will talk about another time. Maybe I'll talk about it further along actually, because I bought some other fabrics for it. These little birds in both red and grey. I've also done something a bit daft, because I bought, I think this is a ½ metre of this print here, and I actually bought it again this week because I'd forgotten that I'd bought this, so now I have lots. So let's go on to the next pile, which is just one fabric, and these red pandas came from Hawthorn Threads, or I can't remember what they're called now, they go by a different name, but I'm pretty sure if you look up Hawthorn Threads or Hawthorne's fabric supply or something like that, you'll be able to find it. And I bought a metre of this for bag making. It says on the selvage, because I'm not sure exactly what the range is, it's by Katie Tanis by Blend, and I'm not sure what the line is. I think it says Panda Forest. So I think they have other pandas as well as red pandas, and they have a couple of colourways which you can get that in. Alright, and then I visited 5 different fabric stores or quilt shops while we were around the Okanagan area. This last week, we only came back last night. I'm recording this on Saturday. And the first place I went to was in Salmon Arm, and it was called Paper and Thread. So I picked up 3 fabrics from Paper and Thread. The Cotton Steel Wales and the lighter blue from Bluebird. These horses, which I'd not seen before, and they also had like a pinky colour. And the last of the bolt with this Ellison glass fabric. Again, I needed to restock some greys, dark greys and light greys, so I have picked up a couple of those as we go along, just to replenish. And then the next stop was in Kelowna. I actually went to 2 fabric stores in Kelowna. The first one was Linda's Quilt Shop, and I picked up 4 fabrics from there, 2 of them from the same collection. I got these basic grey Metropolis prints, and these are the Canadian version, because they do have a US state version as well. So these are the Canadian provinces, and the 2 colours, the creamy one and the grey one, so again more grey. Another grey stash builder, just a fat quarter, and the same with the front yard. Is it front yard? It's another cotton steel. I don't have the selvage for this one, but I think it's a Sarah Watts fabric. And that's the dog squeaky toy, if you can hear that. And then the second shop we stopped at was Cottage Quilting. So I was talking to Drew there. I'm going to get in touch with him about maybe some book promotion. But they had a lot of Tula Pink in their discount section. So these were 40% off. That's the All-Star Stripe, and they had a few different colourways of that as well. And then this one that was from the cat collection. What was it called again? Tabby Road. So I got a decent sized piece of those. I thought they might make nice bag liners. Thanks here. And also I picked up a couple of remnants, again, because I needed blenders. This one is going to come in really useful for a quilt I'm planning, which is the same quilt as the one I mentioned earlier, with the ugly green. And then I've got this sort of bubbly grey as well, again, stash building. Good boy. And then we went, I think it was even in the same, no it can't be in the same day, the next day, to Cherry Tree Quilts, which is in Summerland. And Barb there was really helpful, and this is one of my all-time favourite quilt shops now, and I had to be really kind of reserved about what I bought, even though it looks like I bought a lot of fabric lately, because I have. I could have bought a lot more from there. She had a lot of the new Anna Maria Horner's Conservatory in stock. She had lots of the new Cotton Steel, the Jen Hewitt fabrics, canvases. It was really, there was a lot of good stuff there. She also had the latest Tula Pink Zuma line. So I did pick up this piece of Conservatory, and this is one of Anna Maria Horner's own prints. So I got a ½ metre of that one, and also this metallic stripe from English Garden by Rifle Paper Company, because I like stripy bindings. This one is for a future quilt, and this was in the remnant section. I have a few more that will go with this, and I also got this Christian Robinson cotton steel print with the little metallic details on there. So I got this big stack of fabrics, and these are mostly kind of reddish ones and dark greens. This is Conservatory again, I think. So that one isn't included in my plan. So I'm going to move that one out to the side. But these are going to be part of another pictorial quilt I'm making, which will be of a salmon. And while we were away, it was the very start of the salmon run for the sockeye salmon. And they come out of the ocean and swim upriver to spawn and eventually die. And it's supposed to be a bumper year this year, 2018. And we went to the Adams River to go and see them. They hadn't really started going in their thousands yet, but there were a few in there, and they're bright red, and then they've got green, sort of dark green heads at this time of year when they're in the river. So I've got a couple of dark greens. They're just motor grunges. And then I got some other fat quarters, and I got sort of a pinky one because they kind of look a little pinky when they're underwater, and a few different sort of shades of reddish colours there. The last stop was Poppins Quilt Parlour, and that's in Penticton, and I got another stack. So this is where I rebought that fabric from earlier, but I also bought the other colourway, and this is a range called Hudson, and it's by Camelot Cottons. There's also these green mousse that I got to go with them. I have no plan for those yet, but I thought I would get them when I saw them. And it's called Hudson because they're in the Hudson's Bay Company colours. I also got this one, which I thought would be an interesting bag. It's only a small piece, so maybe a wallet or a small squiffy bag. A couple more of the colours for my salmon quilt as fat quarters. This again isn't something I would normally buy, but that will work probably quite well in my quilt because I need to have like a watery effect. And also this blue, it may or may not work, but we picked it up because we thought it might fit in there somewhere. And apart from a couple of fabrics and some fat quarters and stuff for a project I'm working on that Robert Kaufman sent me, I think that's everything. But there's lots and lots of meters of fabric there, so I have a lot of I need to use up a lot of my stash to get them on the shelf, put it that way. So I won't be buying fabric for a little while, she says, but hopefully you'll see the salmon quilt come to life very soon, and I'll be doing a takeover on C&T's Instagram from October 1st through to October 3rd, so I'm hoping to get a bit of progress done over the next couple of days, so I'll have some stuff to show on that.